Welcome to New Independence Network. I am Brett Hightower. Okay, so we're continuing on from our previous update that we had about Donald Trump, President Trump, signing the executive order or the declaring the national emergency, actually. So I want to carry on from that. Go back and listen. We talked about the deep state, the establishment, how they fought against Donald Trump, how it made it very hard for him to accomplish anything that he really wanted to accomplish regarding the wall or Obamacare, and how I had to find other ways to do it. And now all that led up to where we are today with him signing the national emergency, which was the smart thing to do. So all of that, what I said there, kind of ties together here. Why? Why was, and we covered this in the last show, so you can back and take a listen to that one. I really go into detail with that, so it's worth a listen if you have about an hour. It's good listening. Put it on the background. You really will enjoy it. Why was the government, why were Republicans so resistant? Now, we established that it was the fraternity. He's an outsider, and this is their government. You're not a career politician. You didn't grow up in the Washington infrastructure, so you can't dare be president. How dare you invade our private club? That's basically what it is. He's an outsider coming inside, and they don't want to change at all. And they don't want any part of that. And that's a lot of them. I mean, think about the 40-some-odd congressmen, Republican congressmen, who were incumbents, who chose not to run again in the 2018 midterms. Think about that. They gave, because they decided not to run again, they made it possible for the Democrats, gave them the opportunity to run and take their seats. And the Democrats, in many cases, won and got control of the House. They only got like 30 seats or so, but if just a handful of those 20, half of them, did not leave, did not resign or retire, we'd still be in control of the House and the Senate. You're saying to yourself, but Brett, why would they do that? Well, there's reasons why they do that. And the first one is because they're establishment. And they didn't believe that Donald Trump was legitimate as president. He wasn't part of their fraternity. That's one part. The second part is that, how am I going to say this? Let's just say it. They believed in the story, the false story, the made-up hoax of Russian collusion. They believed it. They wanted to believe it because that, to them, is the only explanation for how Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. It couldn't be that he was full of energy and working incredibly hard in the campaign. It couldn't be that he was running the better campaign. It couldn't have been that she was inadequate. They believed everything that the media fed them and that the insiders fed them, which was, she's part of the fraternity. She's been around forever. Came up through the Washington infrastructure, so she has to win. She's the heir apparent. It must be her. And they believe these horrible polls, these false, misleading polls, and this propaganda because a lot of the establishment Republicans and Democrats, they live and breathe by the media, and they actually believe what they're saying. When the media is propaganda, it is completely an arm of the Democrat Party. They will say what they want to drive the story in the direction to favor Democrats in any way, shape, or form. So they believed in collusion, and a lot of them, they wanted it to be true. They didn't. They believed it so strongly that they left because they thought that Trump was going down. They really did. Well, we've been saying all along that it was a hoax. And the more they dug, Sarah Carter, she did a phenomenal work reporting. They were uncovering, she was the one that uncovered the text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, who were talking. They go, we'll stop it. What if he becomes president? Don't worry, we'll stop it. This is FBI agents. We'll stop it. So, as they dug, the more they dug for the collusion against the Russia collusion with Donald Trump, the more they uncovered the fact that the Democrats actually were the ones that colluded. It's out there. It's so obvious now that some mainstream propaganda, left-wing media are actually, once in a while, they have those flourishes of really being journalists, and some of them actually started to report that a few months ago. What? Are you serious? They actually started to tell the story that there was some. Of course, they're going to mask it. They're going to, they're going to cover it and say, well, and they're going to push it aside like it's more conspiratorial than anything, or that it's not a big deal, because that's what they do. But the fact of the matter is, it's there. And it happened. The Clinton campaign, their lawyer, worked with Fusion GPS to gather the information, to create, they hired them to create the dossier. The dossier was, they called it the Golden Showers dossier. The dossier, if you're not familiar with that, the dossier was created, it tells a story that President Trump, or Donald Trump then, hired prostitutes to urinate on the beds of Barack and Michelle Obama after they had stayed at a Russian hotel. I don't know why they would come up with that silly story, but they did. And the reason they came up with that dossier, well, they came up with it because they wanted to have something to use as collusion against Donald Trump. They also used it because Donald Trump didn't think he needed a daily intelligence briefing, and the FBI came in and said, well, you kind of, the CIA, the DOJ came in and said, yeah, you kind of have to. Here's the kind of stuff that can come out. And they showed him that dossier. Well, it turns out that that dossier was used to get a FISA warrant against Donald Trump. It was just approved. Well, that's illegal. You have to have a lot more substantiative proof than that, and they didn't. So all this is absolutely Democrat collusion, not Trump. And they just came out and said that the Senate Intelligence Committee, they said, we see nothing. After 2 years, 200 hours of investigation, we see nothing. There's no collusion with Donald Trump, nothing that points to it. Now, Mueller's never going to issue his report. They think he's never going to do that. And there's a reason why he's probably not going to do that. I think the reason why he doesn't do that is because all the investigation they did about Donald Trump, though it was all illegal, they didn't have the right to do that because everything was based on a legal FISA warrant. But they did it anyway. They gathered so much information. Basically, this is oppo research, opposition research. So this is all stuff that now the Democrats can use against Donald Trump in 2020. And if Mueller actually releases his report, then he's going to reveal all the oppo research that they found. Why would you do that? You can use that for the 2020 election and then leak it out every once in a while, leak it out to try to hurt Donald Trump. That's what's happening. But it turns out that the FBI actually spoke to, they admitted, was it McCabe, who was in the FBI, right? One of the directors of the FBI. He came out and said that they were talking amongst themselves and with some other Washington insiders, some officials, elected officials, to find a way to basically overthrow President Trump. to get him out of office and use the 25th Amendment to do that. That's a coup. That's a coup d'etat. That is entirely illegal. That is criminal. Alan Dershowitz was on Fox News, and he said that it was a violation of the Constitution. It was against the law. It's criminal as well. And he's not a Trump supporter. And he's Hillary. He's a Democrat and was more of a Hillary supporter, but he also appreciates and respects the law. And what we have here should frighten you to your core. You have a government, the Department of Justice, who is supposed to be above the fray. They're supposed to be the ones that protect us. And they were planning a secret coup to get rid of a duly elected president simply because he shouldn't have been there in the first place, in their opinion. I mean, anybody who lived through John F. Kennedy's assassination understands what the CIA can do. But in this case, they were caught. And they never were able to accomplish it. But all of this was a setup. And people's lives were ruined. General Flynn had to mortgage his home, get rid of his home, so he could pay his legal fees. They went into Roger Stone's house with 29 federal agents, armed federal agents, to arrest or apprehend a 60-some-odd-year-old man in his pajamas at 6 a.m. Happened to be CNN was there, and we find out that they were tipped off by the FBI. That was determined. That was revealed. They were actually tipped off, so they can get the footage, and they were allowed to come to the door to basically watch the apprehension. All because they were trying as hard as they could to tie everything to Donald Trump. Any of his associates, they were going to find them guilty. Paul Manafort, they went after him for buying clothes or tax evasion or something. They found anything they possibly could. They tried to do the same thing with Flynn. They're trying to do the same thing with Stone. What this tells you, when you grow up, this is what it tells us. When you grow up and that your parents say, you could be whatever you want to be. If you want to be in this country, you can be president of the United States. That's no longer true. That's not. A regular person cannot just become the president of the United States. The only reason Donald Trump was able to do so is because of two things. A, he is wealthy. He was able to put up $100 million of his own money to start his campaign. He had his own jet. He spent a lot of money, of his own money, and incurred major expenses so he can get elected because he felt so strongly about it. And the second thing is he came in and said the right thing at the right time, beat a field of 17 different Republicans, establishment Republicans, and was able to accomplish what everyone thought was impossible, which is why they figured he had to have cheated. It can't be us. We can't screw up. It couldn't be our mistake. It has to be they cheated. No, the fact of the matter is no, you were actually the ones that were cheating. You were breaking the law. You were trying to overturn 52% of the people in this country who wanted Donald Trump to win. He had the Electoral College. He won. Screw the popular vote. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because we're finding out more and more that there were a lot of illegal votes. Now, I think it's something along the lines like 30 or 40,000 votes from illegals were found on the rolls in Texas. 16,000, I think, in, I want to say, North Carolina. They're finding more and more of them as they do investigations. And I bet you dimes to dollars that California is loaded with them. Loaded with illegals that were voting and shouldn't have been voting in the first place. All the more reason we need to build the wall and get them out of our country. It's very simple. And enforce the rules. And get voter IDs. That's something else that needs to be done. Could be a good second-term agenda for Donald Trump. But the fact of the matter is that you cannot be a regular person and run for president. You have to be wealthy, or you have to be in the establishment. You have to be connected. What about Barack Obama? He came out of nowhere. No. Barack Obama was set up and groomed to be the president. He was a blank slate. He elevated into state senate because two candidates were driven out of the race by the media, who came up with some sordid, dirty stories about them, figured out something, and okay, here we go. We can get him out of the race. And they did. And Barack Obama, he backs into that position. And then he's that quickly, all of a sudden they say, oh, we got to get him out. He's a well-spoken black man. He spoke at the Democrat National Convention in 2004. We got to get him in there. And they elevate him on high. And he was, again, a blank slate. No one knew anything about him. They hid his entire background. Black, eloquent, good-looking guy. Yeah, he's perfect. Exactly what we want. We'll get that black vote. Listen to my show from yesterday. We'll get that black vote. Get those black people to vote for us, darn it. We got them now, boy. We got them. Because we like to use black people for their votes. And we want to play off their emotions. And while we're at it, we can get the people who want to feel better about themselves and saying, look, I voted for the first black president. And that's a lot of white people who, even people who are Republicans, like, I'm sick and tired of Bush because the media told me to be sick and tired of him. And they drove his poll numbers down to 28%. So I'm going to vote for change. Hope and change. There was no policy, just hope and change. Blank slate. But that's the only way to excel or succeed in this country, to become president, is you have to know somebody, be in the know, or have a lot of money. And if you are an outsider, like Donald Trump, with a lot of money, and you win, they're going to try to destroy you. They're going to go back 20, 30, 40 years. They do it with candidates all the time. They did it with Romney. He bullied a kid in college. George Bush, they forged documents about his National Guard service. They do it all the time. Think about it. Those are powerful people with money. Romney and Bush both have a lot of money and a lot of pull. Do you really think they wouldn't do that to a regular person? They will destroy you if there's something to destroy, if you're a threat. This is the country we're living in right now. This is what Obama created. I also give blame to the establishment for allowing it to happen because they want to preserve their fraternity. But Obama polluted the Justice Department. Polluted it. Him and Loretta Lynch. They changed the entire, they corrupted the entire DOJ to the point where your FBI agents and CIA agents are, predominantly FBI agents, are inside, they're actually working for the deep state. They're working for the Democrats. They're insiders for the Democrats. That's what they've become. And Donald Trump is getting rid of all of them, which is great. He's got to fire Mueller at this point. If the investigation's over, he's got to fire Mueller. He's got to fire Mueller. He's got to fire Rosenstein. He's got to clean house. He's got to get rid of everything. The mainstream media has picked it up. NBC's had to admit it, that there is no collusion. Oh, and the left are going to lose their minds. I love it. I love it. Love Rob Reiner, that fat slob, or another fat slob, Michael Moore, or all these other whack jobs like Alyssa Milano and these kooks who actually believe that there was Russian collusion, or Jim Carrey and all these fools. I love it because there is no collusion. We knew there was no collusion, but they're going to keep trying. Believe me, the Democrats in Congress in the House of Representatives are going to try as hard as they possibly can to keep this going. But there's nothing. It's done. It's done. But Mueller will not release his report because, of course, that's opposition research. He's got to fire Mueller. He's got to fire Rosenstein. And think about this, $40 million of our tax money was wasted on this investigation. $40 million of our tax money. Well, I believe that we should get that back. We won't, but we should. If there was a way to get it back, I'd love that. Speaking of getting things back, how's this? Gavin Newsom, the governor, or governor of California, he asked for $3.5 billion from the federal government. $3.5 billion? $5.3 billion. One or the other. $3 or $5 billion. He asked for that money from the government for the high-speed rail that was going to be built from San Francisco to Los Angeles. And then he realized that it's too expensive and too hard to do. So he said, no, we're not going to do it. No, I find funny about that is that was like a day after the Green New Deal that Alexia Ocasio-Cortez came out with, the dim bulb over there in the House of Representatives. She comes out with a Green New Deal saying we're going to get rid of airplanes and we're going to replace them all within about 10 years and replace them all with light rail. We have light rail travel all over this country. Well, Hawaii? That's a little far for rail travel. Okay, how are you going to do that? And then how much environment are you going to destroy when you're building all of these railroads? Oh, you didn't think about that there, Alexi, did you? But she comes out and says that's a big cornerstone of her Green New Deal. And like the next day or 2 days later, California, the most liberal state in the union, comes out and says, yeah, that's impractical. We can't build that in our state alone. So you're expecting us to build it all over the country? AOC, you moron. But now Donald Trump says to California, all right, that $3.5 billion that we gave you, yeah, we gave you that for the light rail. We want it back. Give it back to us now. And Newsom's like, no, that's our money now. No. So I think Donald Trump's going to do something to get that money back from them, and there's a way to do that. But there's the fact of the matter is that what happened with the FBI, which we can officially call the deep state, they were executing a coup d'etat. They literally were. I mean, we actually saw that in our lifetime. They were trying to politically assassinate Donald Trump. They were trying to destroy any opportunity for an outsider to ascend to the presidency. And the Republicans were in on it. A lot of them were. All those cowards, the Paul Ryans and the rest who quit and said, we're not going to run again even though we're incumbents because we don't think Donald Trump's going to survive this and we don't want to have to suffer the political repercussions of it. They all believed it. And I firmly believe that they were all in on it. They're all scum. I mean, John McCain was part of the process. John McCain doesn't surprise me. He's a scumbag. John McCain's a traitorous scumbag. Oh, he's a war hero. BS. He nullified a couple years of war hero, of being held as a prisoner of war, and treated better than most of the others. Even though he was treated badly, he was treated better than the others because his daddy was an admiral. But apart from that, the 30 years of public service or whatever it was negate his war hero status because he was a traitor to his party, to his voters, to his constituents, to his country on a regular basis. He nullified the repeal and replace of Obamacare by one vote, and it was his vote. John McCain is a scumbag. Was, is, and forever will be I don't even care about God rest his soul. He's a scumbag. I hope he's suffering in perdition's flames right now because he was a horrible person in what he did to this country. You can't run for office and then be that negligent and then be considered treated with respect. He doesn't earn my respect. But the establishment sure love him. All those insiders who want to destroy this country, who say, F you to the voters, the hell with what you want, it's what we want, because we're the establishment, we're the elected officials, we're the career politicians who make $174,000 a year off of your dime. We have our health club and our medical and our postal service. We have our luxury apartments and our book deals and our kickbacks from lobbyists. We don't give a crap what you say. We make the decisions. You elected us for that reason, right? That's their philosophy. But so much so they think that because we elected them to represent a district or a state, that they can determine our election by making up stories and saying, we're going to get rid of this president because we don't like him, because he violates our inner sanctum. It's disgraceful. Right now, basically, if I'm Donald Trump, I'm sure he's in the same boat. He doesn't trust anyone. There's very few to trust. I don't envy him to be in this position because really he's an outsider looking in, but he's inside. So he's an insider looking out, looking in, I guess. And he's got to figure out who to trust. That's real tough because the first sign of trouble, they're going to bail out. If Mueller came out and said, and this is why I think there was a change in tone. You see, we knew about 14 months ago that there was no collusion. We knew it. I mean, the information came out. Sarah Carter started to uncover it. The information, Devin Nunes in the House Intelligence Committee, he was coming up with stuff and revealing it on a regular basis on Fox. And that's what happened. That's why the first 9 months, Republicans did nothing. And then all of a sudden, everything flipped. Remember, notice that? Everything changed. And I was sitting, I remember one day I was getting ready, I was in the shower, and I was listening, I'm thinking, I'm always thinking about this stuff. And I thought, why is everything changing? Like, why all of a sudden are they working with Trump on stuff? What changed? What's so different? They're still investigating the collusion. We know it's a bunch of BS, but what changed? What changed was they found proof themselves. Nunes, Sarah Carter, the rest found stuff themselves. And they went, oh, well, the collusion investigation, the Russia investigation is BS. So, okay, well, then he is legit, so we got to work with him. Yeah, no kidding, he's legit. Could have told you that from the get-go. If he was colluding with Russia, they would have found that out during the election. Would have been found out. It was no surprise. The thing is they kept this as a hold card so they could use it against Donald Trump if he won. Another excuse for why Hillary lost. One of her many excuses in her excuse tour that she went on for over a year after she lost. The Crybaby tour. They knew it, but they didn't want, they trusted the media. They listened. And they had to actually accept the fact that, okay, he's legit. Against our better judgment, he's legit. We have to kind of accept it. But others couldn't, because there are still never Trumpers in there. But more and more of them were starting to align with Donald Trump, and they went, oh, okay, and everything changed about 14 months ago. That's where we are right now. And more is coming out. Believe me, more is coming out. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we've known a lot of stuff, and it's slowly crept out, but now we actually have the Senate Intelligence Committee going, no collusion, that's it. It's over. Now, all of a sudden, then you have McCabe, who has to be the center of attention, goes in 60 Minutes and says, yeah, we were trying to overthrow the president, find a way to use the 25th Amendment to get him out of office. What? You said that on national TV. You admitted it. More and more is coming. It's going to get worse and creepier before it gets better. And hopefully, we got to work, first off, we got to work really hard to make sure that Donald Trump gets elected to a second term, because he has to recraft the FBI. He has to recraft the culture in the deep state. Change it so it's what it used to be. So it's an institution that we can trust, and get rid of the plague, the virus that Obama spread throughout. Obama is a Manchurian candidate of the highest order. He is a plant. He has outside influence. There are people who, I'm sorry, you're going to say, oh, it's conspiratorial. No one's uncovered it because he was a president. And because he was the first black president. If he was not the first black president, the gloves would be off and people would be finding this stuff. But you can't discredit the first black president. You can't. You can't question him while he's president. You can't. Not during the campaign. You can't do it. You can't. Because he's the first black president. You can't vote against him because you'd be considered racist. You have to just let it go. It's like like affirmative action. We just gotta let it go because he's black. Oh, wait a minute. He's a president like anybody else. It doesn't matter. He's a first black president. No, he's a president who happens to be black. Who cares? I was over the fact that he was the first black president in a few hours. All right. Hey, we saw the first black president. Congratulations. He still is not qualified enough to be president. He wasn't. I didn't vote for him because he wasn't qualified. It was all about qualification. You see, unlike others, I don't see color first. I just don't. But I'm telling you what the left see and what the establishment see. And what they see is color first. They go, he's the first black president. You can't. Now, he's a president. But you can't do that. You can't even question him. You can't even question him because if you do that, then they'll call you racist. And we don't want to be called racist. You have to give him a shot. No. Well, he's no longer president now, so what? Oh, you still can't because he was the only black president in our country right now, and we can't make him look bad. We can't do that. Why? If he broke the law, well, we're never going to know that he did unless President Trump finds a way to initiate some executive order somehow, executive fiat, and get access to records of Barack Obama. Unless he does that, then we'll never know the real truth about where he got his money from, where he's got his... And we probably won't see that anyway because he corrupted the FBI. Barack Obama corrupted the FBI. So any chance we have of finding anything he's done, I'm sure, has been scrubbed. The same way we're never going to see the 33,000 emails from Hillary Clinton because the corrupt FBI scrubbed that. And they colluded with the FBI colluded with the lawyers from Clinton's campaign. Did you read that? That was a couple of days ago. The FBI colluded with the Clinton lawyers to find a way to, or the Justice Department colluded, FBI, with the Clinton lawyers to kind of tamp down the email violation, the email breaking the law with the emails. Yeah, let's keep it quiet. Let's just work to keep it quiet because of the election. I mean, a crime is a crime is a crime, unless you're a fully infected deep state, which is what we have. So that should make you really scared. That should make you very, very nervous. And really, the only way we're going to fight that is to have Donald Trump for another 4 years. 6 more years of Donald Trump changing the structure of Washington. That's the only way to fully drain the swamp. And I'm not trying to scare people from running for office. It is a frightening thing to put yourself out there at all because you're being attacked. But the more people we have who stand up for each other, the more people who fight and are not afraid to speak their mind and say what they want to say, the more people we have who will fight against the establishment and fight to change the way the government's run, which is not by the people. Our responsibility, if the government is not acting in our own interest, is to overthrow the government, is to replace it. Thomas Jefferson said that. I paraphrase, but he said it. So run for office. Keep working hard. Keep trying to fight the system. But remember that you are going to be attacked viciously, especially if you're a viable threat. And be ready to fight and have your ducks in order and have your allies on your side. Okay, so that's our update for this portion of the show. Donald Trump signs executive order. We covered that in the first section. And this time, the deep state and the FBI trying to execute a coup against President Trump to supersede the will of the American voter. We still have a topic to talk. Well, yeah, I'll talk about it in another quick update about the Jussie Smollett incident, the Empire actor who was allegedly attacked by two white rednecks wearing MAGA hats, said this is MAGA country, in Chicago at 2 a.m. We'll cover that in another show and a few other little tidbits. Until then, this is Brett Hightower, New Independence Network. Have yourself a great day.